Beautiful humans, welcome back to another episode of the I Like Birds podcast. I'm your host, ZachRippey, and this podcast is dedicated to the non-believers, the confused believers, and the true believers. Because I, at one time or another, was all three, and I'm here to help you get a better understanding of who Jesus is and what he's all about. Let's grow in our faith together. You learn as I learn. I like the Bible, and I like words, so therefore, I like birds. Let's start the show.
People, are you ready? Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Hey, welcome to the I Like Birds podcast. This is going to be a little bird talk episode, a little bonus for you guys. I know we had the Christmas holiday here and New Year's coming up, so just want to give you a little short episode to give you some encouragement and just kind of tell you a little something that happened to me in the last few days that I felt worth sharing, that I feel is a good learning lesson for not just me and my friend that was involved, but I think everybody out there can relate to this because yeah, man, I just read Matthew chapter 5, and it's one of my favorite chapters in the entire Bible. It's called the Beatitudes. I think I'm saying that right. And reading this made me realize that, man, I have such a long way to go in this faith journey. I am still so flawed. I'm still so human, and I'm still so closer to who I used to be than who I want to be. You know, it's a long road, this following Jesus thing. Like, he walked the beach for a while, and I'm only like, I'm at the pier. You know what I mean? Like, I got a long way to go. And the other night, I was told for the second time in a week. So I'm basically going to tell you a story right now. The other night, I was told for the second time in a week that one of the open mics that I run was going to be canceled indefinitely due to it being slow in business. It's a bummer, right? And I ended up losing my cool with a buddy of mine, James, who happened to be standing there when I got the news, when I got the bad news. And I felt that my friend James was making the matters worse, and I lost my patience, and I was rude, and I was just completely out of character in that moment. I let the stress and the pressure of the world affect who I was in that moment of conflict, and I have been dealing with the consequences and the thoughts of that for the last few days. And it's opened my eyes even more when I was reading about what Jesus says on a couple key issues relating to this. So we're going to go to chapter 5, verse 22 real quick. And it says, "But I say to you, even if you are angry with someone, you are subject to judgment. If you call someone an idiot, you are in danger of being brought before the court. And if you curse someone, you are in danger of the fires of hell." So what he's saying here is, like, he's talking about the Moses 10 Commandments. And it says in the Moses 10 Commandments, "You have heard that our ancestors were told you must not murder. If you commit murder, you are subject to judgment. But I say, if you are even angry with someone, you are subject to judgment." What he's saying here is it's about the heart. It's about how you're feeling in your heart towards somebody, that's the real sin. And I was angry with this person in the moment. I was angry with my friend. I gave a half-hearted apology because I was still angry at them for something that was just a big misunderstanding. And then the next few days, I remained angry, and this friend of mine called me out about it all, and that's exactly what the Bible says to do. So he did the right thing by calling me out. He did it in an extreme way, by challenging me, by challenging religion and saying he might not come back to it. And this is exactly why he walked away the first time. Like, he said a lot of things that were like, whoa, dude, like, bro, come on. I had a mistake, you know, but I think what he did was good, because he even says that you're supposed to do that in the Bible. It says in Matthew chapter 18, verse 15, it says, "If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother." Now, I also think it should say in the Bible that, hey, call him, don't just text him, but that's neither here nor there. It also says in Proverbs 27, verse 17, "Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another." So he was sharpening iron. He was doing what he had to do to let me know, and he messaged me a very iron message about what my anger did to him, and he challenged me in a way that was extreme, but I believe that was necessary, because it made me realize I was getting a little bit off my game. I finished my first semester of school, and I took my foot off the gas, and I wasn't in the Word like I was supposed to be, like I normally am for these past 8 months. I was too busy plotting my next move for 2021 with my wife and thinking about Christmas and Noah coming into town that I got caught up in who I used to be. I was stressed about loss of income and losing out on finances for my family, when in reality, I know that God's always provided for us. And honestly, I didn't even want to run that open mic anymore in my heart. I didn't even want to go that night. And I dragged myself out of the house and left my family to go. And I show up and I hear that it's going to be canceled indefinitely. So it was one of those situations where it was like, man, I didn't even want to be here, you know. And honestly, sometimes I drank beer, like at the mic, to kind of get through it. That's how much I really didn't like it. And honestly, I wasn't even going to be there past March or April anyway. So it worked out for the best. God closes doors and opens bigger ones. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to go to a little side excerpt that was actually on the same page as Matthew chapter 5 in the Bible that I'm reading. It says, this may mean terminating a relationship, canceling cable or magazine subscription, or even changing how or where you spend your spare time, hence a bar. Remove yourself from those things that can have a spiritually destructive effect on your life, and then take practical steps to fill your mind with the things of God. Fix your thoughts on what is true, honorable, right, pure, and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. It says that in Philippians 4:8. And yeah, man. So I wanted to get out of that situation anyway. So I should have not been so quick to anger with my friend. It was just in the moment. It was one of those things where it's just like, it sucked. And I was just uneasy about it all day on Christmas. It ruined my day when he sent the message because I was already feeling it. I actually typed a message the previous night that I was going to send an apology, and I just didn't send it because I didn't word it correctly. And I was just like, man, let me let it go, and I'll apologize next time I see him. So when he sent that, I should have just remembered that I was going to send him a text anyway and understand why he's upset. But yeah, I just clearly made some mistakes this week. And he was right, man, because I screwed up and I didn't see things from his lens as much as I saw them from my lens. I was anxious to fix it, and he wouldn't take my call, only text, and I didn't like that. But we texted out, and we talked the following day on the phone, and we're good now. But it even mentions that in Matthew chapter 5, verse 23. Let me read this to you guys because this is very important as well. It says, so if you are presenting a sacrifice at the altar in the temple and you suddenly remember that someone has something against you, leave your sacrifice there at the altar and go be reconciled to that person, and then come and offer your sacrifice to God. And I really like that because it really reminds you of how important peace is with people. And friends are so important, even if they don't feel like they're your friends in that moment of altercation or disagreement. And my friend James is not my enemy, but in that moment of conflict, when you're arguing and you're angry and you're feeling emotion and you're saying things you don't really mean to kind of prove a point, he was my enemy in that moment. You know, it felt that way. And I didn't respond appropriately, even if he was or was not my enemy. Jesus says in Matthew 5, verses 43 through 48, it says, you have heard the law that says, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. In that way, you will be acting as a true children of your Father in heaven. For he gives his sunlight to both the evil and the good, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust alike. If you love only those who love you, what reward is there for that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. If you were kind only to your friends, how are you different from anyone else? Even pagans do that. But you are to be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. And I'm not perfect. I have such a long way to go. I have to humble myself more. And even in my text battle, I had found myself saying stuff I didn't mean to prove a point or try and win. I went low when I should have went high, and my wife told me that. She was disappointed. And she told me there was a test, and I failed. And I was like, dang, you're very honest, but you're right. And it ruined my night, man. It ruined my Christmas day, honestly, because I was going through it in my head. And I just let my anger take over my decisions multiple times over something that was so stupid and not even worth being angry about, like it always is. And I was angry at the situation of losing a venue a night before Christmas Eve. And man, it was just a lot of this world trying to stop my next move my wife and I are making. And I took it all out on the wrong person. And this is also, this sucks to say out loud, but this is the same person I'm trying to help know who Jesus is. It's the same person that's come to church with me like 4 times already. Such a bummer. And I made my friend have second thoughts about Jesus and second thoughts about me as a spiritual leader. It was a big L that day. It was a big L. But that L stands for lesson. Because I feel I'm a better man for it and I won't let that happen again. And we all screw up. It's important to have the word of God in your life on a daily basis so the world doesn't bring the worst out of you. We are to be followers of Christ and not spectators. I have a moment or two that I wish I can take back. I'm happy I was able to process, reflect, and learn from this moment in time and be a better man for it. And James, I love you, brother. I know you listened to some of the episodes. I'll probably send you this one to check it out. And I appreciate you keeping me accountable, and I'm sorry I dropped the ball. Much love to the Birdhouse for listening, and I hope you guys can learn from this one. January 5th. Be on the lookout for some cool news about the show. Share this podcast with a family member or a friend, and I'll see you guys soon.